It was not a good day. Of course, in Konoha, most days were not a good day for Naruto Uzumaki. For a reason he couldn't explain, the villagers hated him with a passion. He didn't understand why. He'd never done anything to them that he knew of. Still, he struggled on, and the life that he remembered had been comfortable enough, considering his circumstances anyway, for him to get by. Despite his distinct lack of family and being ostracized by the village, Naruto had a decidedly upbeat, trusting personality, one that showed in his daily activities. So it was that when a Chunin instructor by the name of Mizuki informed him of an alternative graduation method, because he had failed the first one, obviously, he took the chance without a second thought. The forbidden scroll was spread across the ground in front of Naruto. He'd been training himself from it for hours now, and had mastered one technique from the scroll successfully, Kage Bunshin, the shadow clone technique. Even that had constant training in those hours in order to master. It was while he was looking through the technique's description a bit more that someone else showed up, Irika, and then, a short time after, Mizuki. Naruto was shocked by the revelation that occurred in the next few minutes, that he was in fact the container of the nine-tailed fox that so nearly destroyed Konoha years before. It explained so much. In the end, though, it would make life easier knowing. After all, he now knew he was not the one at fault. They were plain and simple, complete morons. If that was how they thought, who would want to be friends with people like them anyway? Thought like this went through Naruto's head until Mizuki attacked him, and Irika took the blow for him. It was then that his training kicked in. Mizuki could not be allowed to get the scroll, though he wondered why Mizuki couldn't have gotten it himself. He'd practically just waltzed in and taken it, after all. So Naruto did something he hated doing. He ran. He ran directly away from Mizuki and Irika, toward his home. The moment he was out of sight or Mizuki, he put his rather simple plan into effect. A single clone, with a copy of the scroll, switched copies with the real Naruto, who, a fake scroll on his back, turned and charged back toward Mizuki as his clone took the real scroll to Naruto's home. Naruto stood his ground in front of Mizuki, who had begun to chase him as he ran. "Give me the scroll, brat." "You heard Irika. That was a bad idea." "It should have been you, you demon brat. Now give me the scroll, before I have to kill you and take it anyway. Try it. You try to touch me or Irika-sensei, and I will destroy you. I'll kill both of you in one hit, demon fox." Naruto's mind was churning. Mizuki was even worse than the rest of the village. He pretended to care, and then threw him to the dogs. "You bastard," he growled, drawing a kunai from the pouch on his hip. "You bastard." His eyes were vertical slits as he placed his hands into the first seal. "I will tear you apart." And still when he finished the last. Tajuo Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Hundreds of Naruto clones filled the area, in trees, the ground, spreading throughout the surroundings. Mizuki seemed astounded. What is this?" Without giving the chance for a second comment, all the Narutos released their kunai toward Mizuki. He had no chance to react. 1,000 kunai filled the air and struck the Chunin where he stood. He was unmistakably dead, with no chance of a return in a ridiculous filler arc, for example. Meanwhile, at Naruto's apartment, his clone has the scroll laid out across the floor, his eyes scanning across it, copying anything of interest from the writings and diagrams onto another smaller scroll beside it. There were only a few techniques on the scroll that Naruto felt any interest in, and one in particular caught the clone's eye. It was not so much a technique as a description of the history of one, explaining the origins of many of the summoning contracts ninjas used in their work. He copied the information as quickly as he could, and then moved on to the next technique. Back in the woods, Naruto had left Mizuki's body and returned to his sensei. Irika frowned. "You killed him." Naruto's face was dark. "He tried to kill me. He tricked me. He used me. He deserved nothing better. I couldn't ask for a more justified first kill." Still, he trailed off, a somewhat troubled look on his face. Irika looked at his student, a smile pulling at the corner of his lips. "Naruto, what Mizuki said." Naruto interrupted. "Don't worry, it made things better, not worse. I know the reason behind their hatred now, and I know who I am, regardless of the fox. If they can't accept me, they aren't worth my time." Irika's face held a full smile now. "Naruto, I want you to have this." He slipped his headband loose and tied it around Naruto's forehead. "Congratulations on graduating." Naruto's eyes widened, with convenient timing, as he was also surprised by the sudden flow of information he got from his clone as it desummoned itself. The scroll and its copied counterpart were both hidden separately in his house. Sensei, before we return, the real scroll is hidden at my house. The scroll on his back disappears in a puff of smoke. We should probably go get it and return it, huh? Irika sighed. When did you? Ah, never mind. Let's get it. The village is probably in an uproar. I'll go with you and explain what happened to the others. I can walk well enough. Naruto nodded. Irika-sensei. Irika looked at Naruto with his eyebrow raised. Can we go get some ramen afterward? Irika sighed. Fine. It was the next day when Naruto next looked at the copied scroll his clone had made. He'd only gotten a few things from it, and several of them he doubted he'd be able to achieve for quite some time. He read over the story of the summoning contracts, skimming over some until he found one of interest. Most summoning had one this in common: a summoning contract. From what he could see, though, there were many techniques that were technically summoning that didn't require a contract. The user simply forced the summoning to occur, as was the case with the impure resurrection and probably a few of the non-sentient summons. The seal used on the summoning scroll was what was important, until a more permanent contract could be formed. So what he needed to do to improve the technique was figure out how the seals themselves worked, and he could make his own summoning contracts. Most ninja didn't have the kind of chakra to force a summoning, but with the QB sealed into him, he shouldn't have any problem. After all, the scroll had said summoning more than a few dozen shadow clones was practically unheard of. He'd summoned more than 1,000, easily. So he set to work analyzing the seals that made up a summoning scroll. It wasn't nearly as complicated as he'd expected, and ultimately, the only thing he'd need to change is the symbols representing the target. So he found what he thought he needed: a set of symbols that should let him summon a human. He could imagine the possibilities. If a ninja were able to summon other ninja at will, defense and attacks would be that much easier. Ninja could be shifted around at a moment's notice. But so far as he knew, no one had tried it before. He was wrong. No one had succeeded, but many had tried still. That is a story for another time. He took out a scroll and began to paint the necessary symbol across it, taking care not to leave any mistakes. As he finished up, giving the ink a chance to dry before he tested it. What he didn't realize was that of the 3 symbols around the edge of the scroll, body, mind, and spirit, only 2 were written properly. The symbol for body was missing a simple stroke, and that made it meaningless, simply a bit of extra ink on the scroll. Naruto, being a 12-year-old who had never done well in school and was rather impatient on top of that, didn't notice his mistake. So it was that when he swiped the blood from his thumb across the seal and planted his hand in the center, things did not happen as he expected. He fed a massive amount of chakra into the seal, more or less releasing it as a flood, not bothering any attempt at control. The energy flowing through the scroll exploded outward and threw him backwards, and when he opened his eyes again, the center of the seal, when the symbol for human had been, was burned completely away. What just happened? A very good question, as is this. Where am I? Naruto fed a massive amount of chakra into the seal, more or less releasing it as a flood, not bothering any attempt at control. The energy flowing through the scroll exploded outward and threw him backwards, and when he opened his eyes again, the center of the seal, when the symbol for human had been, was burned completely away. What just happened? A very good question, as is this. Why am I here? Naruto looked rapidly around the clearing, drawing a kunai. Who's there? You won't find me like that. I'm stuck inside your mind. It's quite dull in here. You can't be the brightest of individuals. Care to tell me how I got here? Naruto blinked. Who are you? Kyubi? Kyubi? I don't know what you are talking about. My name is Yuryu Ishida. I am the last Quincy. You still haven't told me. How did I get inside your head, you fool? Naruto approached the smoldering scroll on the ground. The center was gone, and the only thing left was the main circle of symbols and the 3 symbols around the very edge. It must be something about the summoning I tried to do. It was supposed to summon a person from the village. Runes? A summoning? I've never seen anything like this. Who and what are you? Naruto picked up the scroll and rolled it up. He began walking toward his apartment. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, a ninja of Konoha. A ninja? You aren't a Shinigami? You're a human? With that power? How? I don't know what you mean. Most ninja have less chakra than me. But still, I'm nothing unusual other than that. Oh, the irony. Naruto frowned. You said you were in my head. What do you mean by that? Are you sharing what I see and feel? No, I'm in your mindscape. There's a lot of water. It looks like a sewer in here. There's a cage, and it would be easier for you to join me here. You should be able to enter the mindscape. My mindscape, a cage? I'll try. Naruto waited until he reached his apartment and laid on his bed. I don't know how to do this. Just concentrate. It's your mind. It should be easy to enter your own mindscape. Naruto closed his eyes. His mind was churning. It was hard to concentrate on anything, much less something he'd never done before. He didn't even know what a mindscape was, much less how to enter it. How had this happened? He was supposed to summon a person, not some insane spirit. And what was a Quincy anyway? As he thought through these things, though, he felt himself slipping into unconsciousness, and when he next opened his eyes, it was to a dark tunnel. The floor was covered with dark water, and an eerie light streamed from one end. Naruto looked around and started walking toward the light area. That's when he saw it, a silhouette at the end of the tunnel. As he got closer, he could see more detail. The figure was a boy. He looked to be a few years older than Naruto himself, dressed in white, his hair long in front, framing a face that had a pair of rectangular glasses. His shirt looked similar to a doctor's coat, but simpler, and with a bluish stripe down the center where the sides met. Naruto. Yuryu? I don't really know what's ha. What kind of ninja wears an orange jumpsuit? Peening, wait, what? You said you were a ninja. You are wearing a bright orange outfit. That's complete foolishness. You'll stand out no matter where you fight. Naruto blinked again. I like orange. He finished stupidly. Yuryu pushed his glasses up on his face a little. Obviously. Regardless, that's not what's important now. We need to figure out what is going on here. Can you tell me a little more about the summoning you mentioned? Naruto scratched his head sheepishly. I found instructions for the summoning technique in a scroll I borrowed. I was trying to modify it to summon people, but something messed up. Instead of a person on the outside, I got you inside my mind. Can you send me back? I'd rather not spend all my time here in this place. Naruto frowned. I don't even know how you got here yet. I wouldn't know how to send you back. Yet, I'll ask for help if I have to, but I'll figure something out. Yuryu sighed. I see. I understand. Very well. In that case, I have another question. What is that? Yuryu was pointing at the back wall of the room behind him. And don't say a cage. Naruto walked past Yuryu quickly and toward the massive bars. The lights in the room didn't extend into the cage. The bars were several inches thick, and a single paper tag in the center said seal. Beyond the bars, he couldn't see much of anything, at first. As he adjusted to the darkness, he could make out a shape curled up inside the cell. The shape of an enormous fox. Naruto whispered to no one. Kyubi. Yuryu had apparently come up behind him. Kyubi? That's what you were talking about. What is it? Why is there a giant fox in your mindscape? Naruto scowls. He's a demon. The nine-tailed fox, strongest of the tailed beasts. He was sealed inside me when I was a baby. I just found out about it last night. Yuryu sighed. A demon, and you just found out it was inside you? He didn't know of me because I didn't reveal myself. I suppose that is now a moot point. Both boys turned back to the cage to see the enormous fox was now awake, raising its head and directing its gaze toward them. The two of you are very loud. I don't suppose you would mind quieting down. Yuryu raised an eyebrow. That's not very demon-like of you. I was expecting something less. He trailed off as he spotted Naruto's face. Naruto's face was contorted in what could only be described as fury. You are the reason everything is wrong in my life. You made the villagers hate me. You are the one who destroyed so much of Konoha. You damn fox, how dare you sit there so calmly? Practically my entire life is entirely your fault. No, I don't believe it is. I'm a demon, boy, but that doesn't make me evil. I'm no saint, but I don't have any responsibility for those events you mentioned. While it was my body that did it, my mind was not involved. Naruto still seemed furious. Why should I believe anything you say? I can show you. While we are in your mindscape, I can share our memories. All I need is the two of your permissions. Naruto was able to calm himself down for the most part after that. Fine. Show me then. Yuryu paused. You said share memories, not show us yours. Does this go both ways? The Kyubi laughed. Very astute, young human. Correct. The sharing of memories is two-way. It is a connection between minds, not a simple information transfer. The experiences of each person fuse to a degree. It can change people, but only so much as you let it. Do you accept? Yuryu glanced at Naruto, then back. I do accept to find more about where I am. The QB smirked behind the cage bars. Well then, I'll begin. The demonic eyes inside the cage closed, and the process started with an image in the minds of the three beings. One of the attack almost 13 years before, then a flash of an orange spiral mask, and a single red eye, a flash of movement, and a man with yellow hair standing in a clearing in front of the giant fox. The details began to fill themselves in from the fox's memories. The first man, the one behind the mask, approaching the fox inside his own mindscape, the second time the man had approached him. Madara Uchiha removed his mask to reveal the Manjikyu Sharingan, and with it took control of the QB in order to get revenge on Konoha for refusing him. He forced the attack, and the fourth Hokage, knowing of this, chose to seal the QB into a child. The QB saw the child, Naruto held in the arms of a crying woman, before being taken by the yellow-haired man, Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage. The fox saw all this while trapped in his own mind, while his body tried to destroy those he saw in front of him. A silver-haired man with one eye covered and another with long white hair tried together to hold him off as the Hokage began the sealing process with the infant now lying at his feet. As the massive fox stumbled away from the powerful attacks of the ninja, he could see Minato laying a hand on the shoulder of a far older man, who both Naruto and the QB recognized as the third Hokage. He spoke something to him, and then to the other two ninja in turn quickly before returning to his task. The QB's sharp eyes saw him begin, with a single tear running down his face, begin the sealing, as he placed the first half of the seal on the infant's stomach before the death god rose behind him and pulled the fox's soul out of his body in moments. He knew no more until he awoke inside the cage in Naruto's mind some time later. He didn't understand what had occurred completely, but he knew enough to know where he was. So, he began the process of planning for himself. He started preparing his new vessel for his power. They all saw how he fed Naruto's coils with his chakra, slowly expanding them. He wouldn't allow his host to be weak, at least unless he could get out. This body would become powerful. When Naruto found out about him, he could grant him enormous power and earn himself his freedom, even if only in part. They all saw as time passed, and the QB's mindset changed. He was never a perfect being, but he wasn't ever truly evil, just perhaps selfish, and of course his power had over the many years gone to his head, so to speak. Still, part of him when he was sealed hated it, hated the man who had done this to him, and hated the boy he was sealed inside. He would escape though, and that would be revenge enough, as the boy would never survive him overpowering the seal. This changed as the QB watched Naruto's life. He began to realize the boy was no more responsible for the QB's fate than he was for his own, which was proving to be a devastatingly poor one indeed. He was hated and all but exiled by his fellow villagers and even many among the shinobi populace. Naruto's own memories began to mix with the fox's, and they saw more and more of his life, all the way to the previous day when QB had lent Naruto the power to defeat Mizuki and just a few minutes before when he had performed the summoning. As more and more memories entered the connected minds of the three, they understood each other better and better understood the situation they were in. So when the stream of memories ended, the three, having viewed more than 3 decades of memories in a short moment, had no doubt of the intentions of any of the others. So you see, I may not have the purest intentions in what I am about to offer, but I do it with no intention of causing anyone harm. Except one man, the Uchiha founder who caused this. Him I intend to cause many, many kinds of harm, all of them painful and terrible. You know what I offer. I grant you power. You grant me my freedom from this prison in your mind. My body is gone, and I cannot return to even a shadow of my former self without destroying the seal and yourself. But my mind can be free. That is what I ask of you. The freedom to leave this cage and inhabit a physical body, even a limited one. That is why I pushed you, without your realizing, to learn the shadow clone technique. I can inhabit and alter the body of a clone to suit my needs. Yuryu should be able to possess such a clone as well, though his alterations will be far more limited than my own without such power as I have. Naruto was hardly listening. He was looking down at the water-soaked stone floor, his reflection looking back at him. Yondaime, was he my father? The QB went silent for a moment. I believe so, how did you know? Naruto smiled weakly. I could tell from his face and the way he acted, and he looked so much like me. Yuryu was silent. I know what went wrong. Naruto turned. What? He looked confused. I know why your summoning didn't work. You made a mistake in the seal. The symbol you used for body. When I saw it in the book in your memories, there was another line in the center. Kyubi looked at Naruto. Yes, that would make sense. I see it now too. You've summoned his mind and soul, but left the body behind. That helps, but it doesn't help send him back. I know that a typical summoning uses a chakra flow through the summoning's body to return them to their own world or previous location. I've never seen a summoning of a soul, much less a way to return that soul. Yuryu interrupts. In other words, I'm stuck here until he figures out a way to return me. I understand. Fine. He turned to Naruto. Until such a time as I can return to my own world, I'll do whatever I can to help you be successful. If you die on some ridiculous mission, I'll never get back. So long as I have your word to try and help return me to my world. Naruto nodded. I feel different, like I can think more clearly now. Did something happen during the memory link? Kyubi approached the bars, and even as he did, his body shrank to the height and rough shape of a human, though still extremely fox-like in appearance. Our memories combined, that experience has changed us. We each gained a bit of the others in our mind because of that link. Experiences and memories shape a person. So these new memories have shaped your thoughts some as they did the original owner. Naruto gave his first real smile in a long time. Well, how do we do this then? This power you said you'd grant me, and how do I release you? I am already working the changes on your body. You'll gain many of my natural traits, to a lesser extent. Your chakra will continue to grow, and your control of it should increase. You'll be faster, stronger, more agile. You'll heal faster than you did even before, and you'll be able to change your appearance. I suspect it will be minor changes and limited to things of similar size, but I won't know for certain. I've never granted my power to a human before. As for releasing me, you should be able to change this mindscape at will. You'll see what to do in a moment. With that, the Kyubi shifted back into its true shape and appeared to be once again sleeping until a human shape appeared from out of its body. Naruto was shocked to see what appeared to be a female version of himself, but with real whiskers, fox ears, and a tail, approached the bars of the cage. My full power will remain sleeping inside that part of my soul. My consciousness will inhabit this form. Simply free this body from the cage, and I will be able to leave. Naruto blinked. You're a girl? The female Naruto grinned. Ah, I forgot you saw only my memories from that day onward. No, I don't have a true gender. I'm a shape-changer by nature. I take whichever appearance I wish. I've learned that females tend to be more useful in certain ways than males, and they tend to be underestimated more easily. Naruto nodded to himself absently. He concentrated, and the room about them changed. Instead of the wet, dark, dingy tunnels, they were soon standing in a replica of part of Konoha, but empty of all people. It wasn't perfect, but anyone who had been there would recognize it for what it was. The cage the Kyubi was in was no longer a dark nook in a corner, but instead a brightly lit large dome. The bars in front of the female Kyubi form separated and allowed her to step through, before sealing back into normal bars. Will you and Yuryu be able to enter my clones once I leave my mindscape? Kyubi answered with a nod. Your clones appeared previously in the mindscape as more exit tunnels, smaller than your own. Were I not caged, I could have entered any of them at will. Yuryu nods. Then he should go. The sooner we get into the real world, the sooner we can try to figure things out. Naruto nodded, and without another moment's hesitation, walked through what was now the village gate, out of his mindscape and into the real world. Naruto sat up with a start from his bed and looked at the clock. No time had passed. The clock was on the same hour and minute as it had when he first entered his mindscape. He felt exhausted, in his mind. He had lived nearly 40 years as three individuals in the span of a few minutes, only to realize that those few minutes was actually only a single second. His body was fine, but mentally, Naruto felt tired. Rubbing his temples with one hand stretched across his forehead, he stood slowly up. After a moment, he put his hands into a seal, and two shadow clones appeared beside him. Naruto blinked as he realized he hadn't spoken the technique name out loud. He was distracted from his thinking, though, when the first shadow clone changed its appearance, becoming an exact duplicate of Yuryu in a few seconds. The second clone changed a few seconds later, the same appearance as Kyubi had taken inside his mind. Naruto frowned. If you go out looking like that, the villagers will probably riot. Kyubi looked down. Indeed, I suppose they would. One moment then. A moment later, The girl's hair changed, from 2 ponytails of blonde hair into reddish hair, and it became even longer. The ears, whiskers, and the marks that Naruto himself had, and tail disappeared, and the orange jumpsuit became a black outfit with reddish-orange accents, similar to the jumpsuit, but tighter fitting. Her eyes remained the same blue they were before. Better. Naruto nodded. Much. I have to go to the graduation ceremony and find out my team. You two can come, but you'll need to wait outside or go back into my mindscape. I don't want everyone knowing about you, and they'll ask questions if you come in with me. The other two nod, with Yuryu then pushing his glasses up on his face again. It is a short time later that the shadow clones are dispelled and Naruto was sitting in a seat among numerous other new graduates. One of them decided he had a point to prove by humiliating Naruto. Hey Naruto, what are you doing here? Only those who passed are supposed to be here. Naruto gave the boy a look and pointed at the forehead protector on his head. The cloth was a little stained with blood from the previous night, but the metal shone bright and clean. Idiot, don't you see this? The boy seemed surprised and raised an eyebrow. He walked away, shaking his head. Can I eat him? Naruto blinked. What? No. Fine. I haven't gotten to fight anyone in over a decade. You'll have to let me out soon. I will later. Naruto, the aforementioned boy looked up to see a pink-haired kunoichi standing in front of him with her hands on her hips. Sakura-ch. He started, before she interrupted. Move your ass out of the way. I want to sit on the other side of you. What? He looked to the side and saw a dark-haired boy sitting there. Uchiha Sasuke, the most popular boy in our class. For the life of me, I don't see why. After a few moments of squealing fangirlishness, Sakura sat down next to the brooding emo boy about the time Irika entered the room. No, not happening. Those of you who would care know what I mean. Not happening. You heard me. Irika turned to the group and began to speak. All right, settle down. I'll assign you all teams, and you'll be assigned a room to go meet with your Jounin sensei. So now, all of you are real shinobi now, and... So it was that Naruto found himself sitting across an otherwise empty room from Uchiha Sasuke and his obsessed fangirl Haruno Sakura. Kami must hate me. Yes, I could understand how those two wouldn't be your top choice for teammates. It was at this point, already 3 hours later than they had been sent into the room to wait, that the door opened, and Naruto saw the face of his Jounin sensei for the first time. You. So it was that Naruto found himself sitting across an otherwise empty room from Uchiha Sasuke and his obsessed fangirl Haruno Sakura. Kami must hate me. Yes, I could understand how those two wouldn't be your top choice for teammates. It was at this point, already 3 hours later than they had been sent into the room to wait, that the door opened, and Naruto saw the face of his Jounin sensei for the first time. You. The silver-haired Jounin scratched his forehead quizzically. Nanny. You were there. You're the one who was with my the fourth. The Jounin's eye widened for a moment, and the two other genin looked at each other. What's with the outburst, Dobe? The black-haired Uchiha team said, his chin resting on his hands. Naruto scowled. Never mind, team. You wouldn't care anyway. The silver-haired Jounin coughed once. The group's attention shifted. My first impression is, I don't like you guys. He paused. Follow me. He led them to a spot on top of a nearby building. All right, let's start with introductions. Your likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, hobbies, stuff like that. Naruto pointed at their new sensei. Shouldn't you go first, sensei? Oh, me? My name is Hitaki Kakashi, and I have no desire to tell you my likes or dislikes. Dreams for the future? Well, I have lots of hobbies. Anyway, your turn, on the right. He pointed at Naruto. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, and people who like me for who I am. I dislike shallow people who judge others without really knowing anything about them. My dream is to prove myself to this village and become the greatest Hokage. My hobbies are pranks and jokes, mostly. I see next. He motioned to Sasuke, whose lower face was covered by his intertwined fingers. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There are many things I dislike, and I don't really like anything. My ambition, I don't want to use the word dream, is to kill a certain man and to revive my clan. Okay, lastly you. He nodded toward the pink-haired waste of space. Kunoichi. I'm Haruno Sakura. The thing I like is chicken-haired emos. Well, the person that I like is the chicken-haired emo team. Should I say my dream for the future is to have the chicken-haired emo team's babies? The thing I dislike is Naruto. My hobby is stalking the chicken hair emo team, of course. Kakashi cocked his head to the side and gave them a bored look. Well, that's enough for now. We'll start our duties tomorrow. We'll be doing survival training. The following burst of complaints only got worse when Kakashi revealed the average passing rate for the training exam to be less than 33%. Meet me on the training field tomorrow morning. I'd skip breakfast, you'll throw up. A short while later, they disappeared in various directions to prepare for the next day. Naruto was the first to arrive, and when he did, it was not in his usual attire. His outfit had changed to match more closely to that of the clothes Kyuubi had worn in her second form, though not as tight-fitting. Yuryu and Kyuubi had both insisted his outfit needed redoing, and after a short argument, he agreed. His jumpsuit was now not so baggy, and the main color of it was black, with some dark orange accents. His shinobi headband appeared to have been painted a dull black, and he wore a belt with a matching, but smaller, metal plate for the buckle. He had black fingerless gloves and a small satchel strapped to his hip for his weapons and supplies. Sakura arrived next, about 15 minutes early, 10 minutes after Naruto. She saw him lying against a tree, his face covered by a book. Who are you? We were supposed to meet Kakashi-sensei here, I thought. As she looked at the blonde a bit more, even with the drastic change, she realized her mistake. Naruto. Last I checked, that was still my name. Sakura frowned. Why do you look so different? Naruto pulled the book from his face and raised an eyebrow. I changed clothes. That's what happens when you change outfits. You look different. Besides, I would think you'd be happy. All of you teased me for years about that orange monstrosity. Sakura looked shocked. I don't. A moment later, her expression changed to a scowl. Naruto baka, you're just trying to impress me again. I'm not interested. You'll never be as cool as Sasuke-kun, no matter what you wear. Naruto snorted. Right, because I really need to prove myself against the great emo Avenger. He makes the cow on my milk carton look cool, Sakura-san. Naruto baka, Sakura screamed, swinging a punch at his face. It never landed. Naruto's hand intercepted and stopped at inches from his face. Don't try to hit me again, Sakura-san. I may not like the emo team, but that doesn't mean I want to hurt you as well. Sakura gaped at Naruto, her mouth opening and closing in a way that could remind him of nothing so much as a fish, possibly a retarded fish. Your hero is here. Naruto pointed at the approaching Uchiha heir, his hands in his pockets as he approached the training ground. He didn't say a word, regarding Naruto and Sakura with only a short glance before leaning against a tree some distance away. Sasuke-kun, Naruto baka was telling lies about you, but I told him to stop. Sasuke shot her a look. You're annoying. Leave me alone. See why I don't like him, Sakura-san? He's not even kind to his adoring fans. I swear, I just don't see what you girls see in this team. You've turned your attitude toward her around quick, haven't you? She could still make a good kunoichi if she'd just listen to reason. Right? It was a miracle the three made it through the next hour in one piece, really. At least, that all of them did. Kakashi showed his face more than an hour late, to find two of his students tied to trees near the training field, and Naruto lounging against another tree between the two. Kakashi shot him a glare. They came after me, sensei. I could have killed them. I didn't. They should consider themselves lucky. I only instigated a little, after all. Untie them. Now. As Naruto did. He hit a button on a timer he brought with him and held up 2 bells. The timer is set for noon. You have to get the bells from me by then. Whoever doesn't get a bell fails this test, and I will tie you to the poles over there while I and the others eat. Then you will be sent back to the academy. Oh, and you'll need to come at me with intent to kill. Don't go easy. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I'm definitely getting one of those bells. You may not have to. What? What do you mean? He said. No, Yuryu is right. When is the last time you saw a 2-man genin team? Naruto's eyes widened. Oh, it's a teamwork test. Of course. Naruto smirked. Still, Kakashi doesn't realize what he's getting into. I'm certain I'm not ready to beat him, but I'll give him more of a challenge than he ever bargained for. Naruto turned to his teammates as Kakashi disappeared from their view. It'll take all 3 of us to get the bells from him. We'll have to work together. You'll just slow me down, dope. Don't get in my way. With that, Sasuke drew a kunai and rushed into the woods after Kakashi. Sakura looked at Sasuke, then back at Naruto, before turning and following Sasuke into the trees. Sasuke-kun. Naruto slapped a hand against his forehead. Idiots, both of them. and Sakura was supposedly the smartest in our class. I guess she's probably telling herself that he has a plan, as if a Genin could take on a Jounin like Kakashi alone. Now what am I going to do? You tried playing your cards close to your chest. Maybe you should reveal them. Not everything, of course, but enough. You can't force them to cooperate, so maybe you can prove yourself and get them to fall into line. Naruto nodded and ran after the Uchiha. He arrived just in time to see his attempt at defeating Kakashi. Kakashi was standing openly in the center of a clearing when Sasuke leapt out at him. Kakashi had his back turned, but he easily grabbed Sasuke's wrist with one hand as the kunai approached, twisted him around, and threw him into the woods. As he turned slightly, Naruto saw he was holding a book in his other hand. That cocky bastard. Naruto laughed silently. He's that much stronger, huh? He shook his head. Time to step things up. Naruto leapt out at Kakashi with a kunai in his hand. I'll see how hard he's willing to try first. He feinted a slash and then spun around for a kick. Kakashi easily caught his leg, and before he knew it, he was laying face first on the ground. He scowled. I know what this is really about, sensei, he said even as he stood and launched another slash with a kunai. It was blocked by Kakashi's free hand, which had somewhere along the way pulled a kunai from his own pouch. Do you now? The Jounin responded, giving the unusual smile he often did, even with only one eye visible. Naruto smirked and slashed at the bells. Kakashi sidestepped. You want us to fight each other? Or I suppose I should say that's the point of the test. It's a test of teamwork. We should be able to cooperate to try and get the bells, even though by your rules, only two of us could pass. Kakashi paused. It didn't change the fact that he easily avoided Naruto's next blow, aimed at his stomach. Naruto continued. Well, the Uchiha team wanted none of it, and Haruno-san chose to follow him. That's when that same Uchiha showed himself again, delivering a kick to Kakashi's face, an instant before a puff of smoke revealed a log there. Dope, I told you to stay out of my way. Naruto scowled. I told you, you can't fight him alone, nor can I. We need to work together. All of us. He shot a look at Sakura, who was standing off to the side, watching. Speak for yourself, Dope. I'm better than you'll ever be. I'll get the bells myself. Kakashi was leaning against a tree nearby, still reading his book with one hand, the other twirling a kunai. Sasuke charged at him. Naruto followed. Sasuke sent a massive fireball at the Jounin, and it almost seemed he was successful at first, until he heard the bells behind him, and Kakashi's kick sent him flying into a tree. Naruto was there when he came to a stop, offering a hand to help him up. Convinced yet? Sasuke knocked Naruto's hand away and scowled. Damn it, Dope. I don't need any help from a loser like you. I'm an Uchiha. I'll get the bells on my own. Naruto was getting angry by now. What exactly makes you think that matters, you idiot? You think Kakashi will just give you the bells because of who your family was? Or do you think he'll feel sorry for you and give you a passing grade because of the tragedy you went through? Sasuke and Naruto were no longer concentrating on Kakashi at all by this time. The aforementioned Jounin was watching their argument from a short distance away. Sasuke scowled. Go away, Dope. You have no idea what you're talking about. Naruto was furious. I don't know what I'm talking about. Team, I never knew my parents, and I was hated for what I went through. You get everything on a silver platter. You've had praise thrown at your feet your entire life, without earning any of it, while I was tormented and hated for something I had no fault in. You get everything you could ask for because you had a famous family. You think your family was so great. My father was a better man than you or anyone in your clan ever was or ever would be. Naruto, what are you doing? You can't tell the Uchiha brat. The third would have kept that secret for a reason. Kakashi was there to catch the kunai strike Sasuke aimed at Naruto, and had him restrained in seconds. Let go of me, Hitaki. I'll kill the Dope. I'll kill him just like I will my brother. Let go of me, damn it. Sakura had walked closer. She was biting her lip and looked back and forth between the two boys on her team. Her eyes finally settled on Naruto. Naruto, your father? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who my family was, that's my point. If you can't accept me for who I am, not preconceptions, then I don't want anything to do with you. Now, unless you're going to take the same path as the Uchiha team, we still have those bells to get. Naruto looked at Kakashi and then turned around and began to walk into the woods. I have a plan. Come with me if you want to pass this. Naruto. Naruto turned and saw Kakashi had somehow knocked Sasuke out completely, and the boy was tied up carefully. You were right about the test, but I've seen enough from Sasuke, so I'm changing the rules. You and Haruno have until noon to manage to get both bells from me. If you do, you both pass. If not, I send all three of you to the academy. And Naruto, don't say anything else about the past for now. We'll talk after the test is over, whichever way it turns out. I'm going to put Sasuke somewhere, out of the way, and then we'll continue. With that, Kakashi disappeared, along with the tied-up Uchiha. Naruto turned to Sakura. Well, Sakura seemed to be in shock. Sasuke had attacked a teammate and failed the test. She hadn't said a word since Naruto had made his speech about acceptance, but now she was starting to come out of her inner turmoil. I'll help. What do you need me to do? Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. So she's not a total lost cause then. Good. I need distraction. You and one of my clones will draw him in. Keep his attention on you until I attack. I can handle the rest. If this doesn't work, we'll have to think of something else. Yuryu, QB, I'll need both of your help for this. Here's the plan. Kakashi returned to see Sakura and Naruto arguing in the clearing. Sakura, I told you, we have to work together on this. He's too strong for me. I don't care, Naruto Baka. I'm not helping anyone who would insult my Sasuke-kun. I'll talk to the Hokage. Sensei is obviously wrong to fail him. You were trying to get him to fight. Sakura-san, I was trying to get him to work with me. Kakashi sighed. He supposed this would be another year with no team. A pity, the boy had showed promise. That's when he heard it. I'm gonna get those bells, Sensei. A second before Naruto's fist smashed into the tree behind where he had been. A clone? He glanced at the Naruto in the clearing. If it is, it's a good one. A shadow clone, perhaps? He landed between the two Narutos, some distance from the first he'd seen. The Naruto who had just attacked was shouting at him. I can't believe you almost fell for that, Sensei. I noticed you stopped reading your book. Too hard to keep up with it. His hands closed into a seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 clones appeared in front of Naruto, and all ran at their sensei. 3 quick blows, and all 3 disappeared in a puff of smoke. I put it away when you were fighting Sasuke. I'll catch up on it later. Naruto smirked. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 new clones appeared. Again, 3 more blows from Kakashi made them disappear. You can't think this will help. You are just wasting chakra. Naruto smiled. Oh, I know, but I'm not the only one on this team. Kakashi shrugged as he casually sidestepped a kunai, thrown by Sakura from behind. True. You aren't. Kakashi turned as he stepped backward, so both his students were now near the edge of his vision. Sakura waved at him. The clone was gone. You underestimate us, Sensei. Kakashi looked behind him and saw a Naruto clone about 20 yards back, holding what appeared to be a bow made of chakra. No, that's not chakra. That's pure spiritual energy, which explains why I didn't notice it at first. I didn't think Naruto was capable of focusing his spirit energy so well. The clone put his free hand against the bow and drew back, a blue arrow forming behind his hand as he did. And a second later he fired it. Kakashi dodged easily, and it went just under him as he jumped. As he landed, he saw something running, a streak of red, across the ground where he had been standing. He scratched his forehead until he heard the ringing bells, as what appeared to be a fox crawled up Naruto's, the real Naruto, leg and back and dropped them into his hand. The fox jumped to the ground before shifting into another Naruto clone, which grinned before both clones disappeared. Well, Sensei, what do you think? Kakashi blinked and looked down at his belt. The arrow had cut the strings of the bells cleanly. Either Naruto was far smarter than he had ever let on, or he was seriously slipping. I think I'm starting to like you kids. Naruto grinned. Congratulations, you both pass. I'll talk with the Hokage about replacing Sasuke, probably with one of the better members from a failing team. Naruto, you come with me. We need to talk. Naruto nodded, and the two left to find the Hokage. So the Uchiha boy not only refused to work with Naruto, or even to work together with Sakura, but actually attacked him when he tried to get through to him. Quite frankly, he seems unstable and is not fit to be a shinobi. Naruto and Sakura, on the other hand. Once the original arguing ended, they worked well together, and Naruto was the first genin who has ever successfully retrieved the bells from me. The third Hokage nodded to Kakashi. And why did you feel the need to bring Naruto in with you? You didn't bring the Haruno girl. Naruto spoke up before Kakashi could explain. I can answer that, you see, I think. I know about everything now, meaning who my father was. I saw everything that happened that night when I was sealed, including some things I don't believe even you know about. The Hokage's eyes widened. And how did you come by this knowledge? Naruto sighed. This will be the easiest way, I think. One moment, he formed a seal, and a single shadow clone appeared. This time, changing shape a moment later into the same red-haired girl it had taken the form of after Kyuubi left Naruto's mind the first time. But this time, complete with whiskers, fox ears, and a single tail emerging from her backside. She gave a mischievous grin, and Naruto introduced them. Say hello to the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Quite a bit of explanation later, intentionally excluding the part about Yuryu and his summoning technique. Naruto had managed to bring the Hokage and Kakashi up to speed. The aged leader sighed. I knew years ago that the Kyuubi may have been controlled, but I never knew by whom. But I don't see how Madara could possibly be alive. His expression changed to one of determination. I'll see what I can discover about this for now. I need to apologize, Naruto, for the secrets I've kept from you. I assure you everything was done with the best intentions. The fourth had many powerful enemies, and not all of them died during the last war. He frowned. That said, I will of course rescind my laws regarding these secrets when it comes to you. They are now your secret to keep, and anyone you care to know about your father or the Kyuubi, I will certainly understand. So, on to the matter of your team. If, as you said, the clone body the Kyuubi inhabits is capable of retaining its body until its true death, it seems to be a distinct possibility that the Kyuubi itself could become the last member of your team. In human form, of course. You will need to choose a human name. I will add you to our records as Naruto's cousin and the owner of a powerful bloodline. That will keep others off your backs about any unusual abilities. Naruto nodded. I intend to tell Sakura eventually. For now, I'll tell her what everyone else will hear. And sir, the Hokage raised an eyebrow. Thanks. I understand the secrecy. I do, just thanks for watching out for me all these years. The Hokage smiled. Sarutobi. He glanced at the Kyuubi. I would like my human name to be Kataki Meitiki. The enemy of my enemy, Naruto smirked, is my friend. The newly named Kataki smirked. Indeed, as to the bloodline, my shape-shifting ability and advanced healing need explaining. Nothing else should be a problem. The Hokage nods. Very well, I wish you all luck then. Kakashi, I trust you have no problems with this. Kakashi shook his head. Minato would return from the grave to haunt me if I mistreated his son. Part of that includes accepting the Kyuubi, as they appear to be very close now. I will lead them, and the Haruno. Indeed, I believe he would. For your information, 2 other Genin teams passed their tests. You'll see them around. Kurenai's Team 8 consists of Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Asuma's Team 10 includes the next generation of the Ino Shikicho trio, Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Chuji. Kakashi nodded his assent, and he and his 2 new students left the tower to return to their homes, or more accurately in Naruto and Kataki's case, Ichiraku Ramen. Kataki-san, I know it's annoying, but please don't kill the cat. Sakura requested as she saw the previously mentioned girl stand up, scratches across her face and arms. It's lucky I heal quickly. Otherwise I would, and damn the mission. Kataki practically growled, and the tired cat was snatched up by Naruto, who held it against the thick material of his jumpsuit, knowing its claws wouldn't easily pierce it. Couldn't you simply shift the scratches away, Kataki-chan? Kataki blinked. I've never tried it. The unspoken message left off the end was, in this body, but Naruto understood that. They had shared the same experiences for 13 years after all. After a second, the scratches simply faded away. Ugh, it works, but it takes far more energy than it would to let them heal on their own, though it's good to know. Naruto shook his head. How did you not think of that before? In my natural body, healing myself was never an issue. Superficial wounds I didn't concern myself with, and even major wounds healed extremely fast. Besides which, it was already fairly rare for me to get significant injuries to begin with. I suppose that makes sense. Now, let's go get rid of this cat. Wish it would stop running away. Can you really blame it? I certainly can't fault anyone for trying to get away from that woman. The woman in question was the Fire Lord's wife, and the cat was named Tora. Virtually every Genin team in almost a decade had had to catch the cat at least a few times. It was jokingly called a rite of passage amongst the older teams and ninja who had moved up to bigger and better missions. That no one had murdered the cat yet, or even let it escape to be kind, was a miracle in and of itself. Still, they once again returned the cat to its gleeful owner, though once they left the scene changed. If I have to catch that cat again, With all due respect, sir, it dies. Kataki's eye was twitching slightly as she said this. You're rather easily upset when it comes to that cat, aren't you? I hate cats. They are pathetic excuses for hunters. The big ones aren't so bad, but I detest these pathetic house cats. Naruto sighed. Sir, I think she's right. I'm quite frankly sick of these D-rank chores we've been doing. We could easily handle a C-rank mission. We've done plenty of D-rank already, and I'm sure there are missions waiting for a free team. The Hokage raised an eyebrow and shot Kakashi a look. The silver-haired teacher rubbed the back of his neck. They are ready for a better mission if there is one available. This time he shot Naruto a look. But we will do whatever mission you assign. His loan visible, I made it clear this was not to be argued any further. The Hokage chuckled. Okay. All three Genin blinked. Really? Sakura was the first to respond. If you want a C-rank mission that badly, I'll give you one. I have here a protection mission of a certain individual. Naruto smirked. Finally, who are we protecting, Hokage-sama? I'm about to introduce you to Zuna. Please come in. An older, obviously drunken man with a pack worn on his upper back entered the room. What's this? These are just a bunch of super brats. Especially the short one with the stupid face. Are you really ninja? Naruto smirked. Care for a demonstration? Less than a second later, three of each of both him and Kyubi were standing around the old man, kunai at several different vital points. They quickly stored the weapons away and stepped back. Kakashi shook his head at the rather terrified look on the man's face. I assure you we are more than qualified. Tazuna glanced at the blonde and the redhead before continuing. Yes. Well, I am the super expert bridge builder Tazuna. I expect you to provide me super protection until I get back to my country and complete the bridge. Naruto and Kataki both smirked. I'm sure we can handle that, they said, practically in unison. The group met at the gate early the next morning. Unexpectedly, Kakashi was only a few minutes late, perhaps because it was a real mission. Naruto was excited, though he barely showed it. What are you so worked up about? This is the first time I've ever been outside the village, much less on a mission. I've never seen the rest of the Land of Fire, much less any other countries. Naruto's discussion was interrupted by Kakashi. All right, let's go. There shouldn't be any real trouble on this mission, but be on your guard just in case. The group started their walk in silence. Tazuna-sen, you're from the Wave Country, right? Sakura started. What about it? She paused. Kakashi-sensei, do they have ninja in that country? No, not in Wave Country. Most other countries do have them. But there is no hidden village in the Wave. Don't worry though. There won't be any ninja fighting on a C-rank mission. So we won't see any foreign shinobi? Of course not. We're just here to. Kakashi stopped as a blur went by him, and before anyone knew what was happening, he was wrapped up by a length of chain. The three genin just barely caught sight of the two ninja holding the chain before they pulled hard, and the chain sliced Kakashi apart. One down. The ninja appeared behind Naruto, one on either side. Two down. One said as they began to wrap the chain around him. Naruto jumped straight up as the ninja ran past, and a second later Kataki planted a foot onto each of the two's gauntlet hands, knocking them to the ground. Meanwhile, Naruto moved and caught the chain on a kunai, pulling hard and stabbing two kunai hard into a tree, pinning the chain between them. As he launched himself off the tree, back toward the two enemies, he vaguely noticed Sakura had moved between the two enemies and Tazuna. Good, if she's protecting him, we can worry about fighting. The now pinned ninja did something with their gauntlets, and the chain snapped free. Naruto scowled. In less than a second, they were back up, and one sent a blow toward Kataki. Kataki caught the blow with both hands, but the sharpened glove cut deep into her skin, and she was knocked back. The other ninja was halfway to Tazuna before Naruto could even think about reaching him, so he dove toward the closer of the two, his hands forming a seal as he ran. Three shadow clones appeared, and two quickly launched themselves at the shinobi, who easily planted a shuriken in each of their chests. The other one nodded to Naruto and drew his arm back, forming the same bow and arrow as he had in the bell test. He aimed it at the shinobi and released. As the enemy shinobi moved in close to Tazuna, Sakura was there to meet the strike. She brought her foot up quickly and kicked sideways, striking the shinobi across the face. He skidded across the ground and then spun around, laughing. So, you've got some skill after all. Hey GI. He cut off suddenly as his mouth opened, and Kakashi was standing behind him as he fell forward, a kunai buried deep into his spine. The Ryatsu arrow struck the demon brother almost dead center in the chest, piercing him straight through. He didn't speak a word as he fell dead to the ground with a 6-inch hole in his chest. Naruto looked over and saw that the second brother was dead, and Kakashi was standing by his body. He's alive. He must have used a kawarimi. Kakashi had another kunai in his hand. Nice work, all three of you. Tazuna-san, are you okay? The old man nodded, glancing around frantically. Good. So you can explain to me why these two were after you. Tazuna stuttered. I don't know what you mean. That's why I stayed back instead of finishing them immediately. I wanted to see their target. Once they thought they had disabled us, they went straight for you. There was no finishing blow to Kataki, nor did they bother trying to get Naruto after their first attack. You were the target. Naruto and his clone, controlled by Yuryu, had helped Kataki up by this point, and helped her over next to Kakashi and the others. Are you okay? The gloves were poisoned, but I'll be okay. My healing factor has already begun to destroy the toxin. I'll need to rest soon, but I should be back on my feet by morning. Sensei, the glove they got me with it was poisoned. My bloodline will flush the toxins from my system, but I'll need to rest. Kakashi frowned. Very well, we'll make camp. Then Tazuna can explain why he is being targeted by shinobi. This mission is now at least B rank. If there are more ninja after you, this may be too much for my team. Tazuna looked down. You're right. It turns out a super dangerous man is after my life. The wealthy shipping magnate, a man named Gatu. He runs a large shipping company, but secretly, he sells illegal items, using thugs and hired ninja to take over businesses and countries. Kakashi's eye widened. Gatu. He's one of the world's wealthiest people. He took control of the Wave Country a few years ago. He has a shipping monopoly on the island, which is why I have to finish this bridge. But why did you hide this when you hired us, if you knew ninja were after you? My country is super poor. Even the feudal lord doesn't have much money. We could never afford a B-rank mission. He scratched the back of his head. But don't worry about me. If you leave, we'll do it. Kakashi and Tazuna both turned to see Naruto standing up, a determined look on his face. We can't turn back now. We're ready for this, Kakashi. If we leave, he will die, and his country will have no way to stop Gatu. We have to continue. Kakashi sighed. Sakura bit her lip. Naruto, are you sure? Those guys were pretty strong, and the next ninja could be even stronger. We're ready. This is what we trained for, Sakura. Kataki was lying against a tree trunk. We practiced together for a reason. Me and Naruto have trained together in every free moment. You've been sparring against us and Kakashi every day since we became a team. Kakashi sighed. Fine then, we'll continue the mission at least until you get back to your country. Speaking of training, Naruto, did you manage to perfect that bow technique? Not quite. Yuryu can use it through my body, but I haven't been able to do it myself yet. I don't have enough spirit energy yet, and I'm having too much trouble focusing my chakra enough to solidify it. Did you bring the scrolls at least? We can work on the summoning and try to find a way to send Yuryu back when we are done. I think first we need to test what caused this. If this was simply a fluke, we may never figure out how to undo it without finding out exactly how it was done. The last attempt to reproduce it didn't work. We'll get it eventually. Now it's time to rest. There it is, the Wave Country and my bridge. Tazuna smirked as he pointed out the huge bridge from the tiny boat they found themselves rowing in on. As they stepped off the boat onto shore, everyone in the group was on their guard. At least, they were at first. A few short moments after they reached the shoreline, they went from simply on their guard to well beyond it. Down, Kakashi shouted, and Naruto actually tackled Tazuna to the ground as a massive spinning blur passed directly over their heads just after everyone hit the ground. When the blur stopped, it was revealed to be a massive Zanbatsu, now buried a couple feet into a large tree. An instant after it stopped there, its owner was standing on top of it. He was a tall man, his face covered partially, similarly to Kakashi's, with a white bandage wrap. He wore no shirt and a pair of striped pants, with both his arms and ankles covered with camouflage-patterned arm and leg warmers. Kakashi looked directly at the man. Well, if it isn't the Hidden Mist's missing ninja, Momochi Zabuza. The man chuckled, and Naruto and Kataki both started to move toward him, but Kakashi stopped them both with a hand. No, This guy's on a whole different level. Kakashi put a hand to his forehead protector. Against him. Even I'll have trouble, unless I use this. He began to lift the forehead protector away from his eye. You three, protect Tazuna, don't enter the fight. That's when he lifted the headband the rest of the way. Sakura gasped and Kyuubi tensed up. Naruto, who wasn't at the right angle, was puzzled. What is it? I won't lie, boy, a decade ago, I would have killed him where he stood for showing that I in front of me. Naruto didn't quite have time to respond before Zabuza spoke. Konoha's copy Nin. So I get to see the famous Sharingan already? I'm honored. A Sharingan? But I don't know how he got it, but that is a Sharingan. It's not the same as the one Madara used against me though. I'll explain some other time. Kakashi was looking Zabuza directly in the eye, but the Mist Ninja hadn't moved an inch since he'd stopped there. When I was a member of the Hidden Mist Assassination Team, I kept a handbook, and this is what it said. The man who has copied over 1,000 jutsu. Copy Ninja Kakashi. Now, let's end this talking. I have to kill that old man. Zabuza crouched down on the sword and grabbed the handle of it. But Kakashi, it seems I have to beat you first. Naruto, Sakura, and Kitaki moved to surround Tazuna, just as Zabuza launched himself away from the tree, ripping the sword out of the wood. He next appeared standing on the surface of the water behind them. Ninpu Hidden Mist no Jutsu. Zabuza disappeared entirely from view. Be careful. He is an expert in silent killing. You don't even know he was there until you are dead. The mist around them began to thicken, and they heard Zabuza's voice echo from within it. 8 choices: liver, lungs, spine, clavicle vein, neck vein, brain, kidneys, heart. Which should I go after? Suddenly, he was there among the Genin, face to face with Tazuna. It's over. That's when 2 snap kicks caught the underside of his jaw, and he flipped backward, landing near Kakashi, who just managed to hit him with a kunai in the stomach before he dissolved into the mist. Impressive. You brats knew where I'd be. It won't be enough. And then he came out of nowhere, swinging his massive sword directly at Kakashi. It hit, and then Kakashi as well exploded into a mist of water. When the Genin next caught sight of him, he held a kunai to Zabuza's neck. Don't move, it's over. Zabuza laughed openly. I'm not that easy to beat. Zabuza continued to laugh until an exact duplicate appeared behind Kakashi and swung his blade. As Kakashi ducked and the water clone dissipated, Naruto was making plans. Kyuubi, Yuryu, if this starts to go badly, I may have to reveal the truth to Kakashi and Sakura. If you need me to, I'll fight the best I can. And you have yet to tap into my real power, either for me or for yourself. Then Kakashi got caught by one of Zabuza's techniques. Naruto scowled when he saw Kakashi trapped inside a giant ball of water. Well, Kakashi, time for me to finish your little brats. Water clone no jutsu. As a clone appeared in front of Zabuza, Kakashi's eyes widened. All of you run. You can't possibly beat him. The clone can't get too far from him. Take Tazuna and get away. Naruto scowled. Kakashi, wasn't it you who always says, those who break the rules of the ninja world are called trash, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash? Naruto, you can't hope to fight him. Run. Afraid it's too late for that, brat. Zabuza was there, right next to him, or at least his clone was, and delivered a spinning kick to his stomach that sent him skidding across the water. Sakura grabbed Tazuna by the arm and virtually dragged him away from the fight, running frantically to bring him to safety. The clone appeared beside her, but his blow was stopped by Kitaki, who was thrown across the water the opposite direction from Naruto. The water clone was in front of Naruto before he stopped moving, demonstrating the huge speed difference between them. He delivered a powerful upward kick into Naruto's stomach. Kitaki was there in front of him when the kick finished, but Zabuza swung his blade and easily cleaved Kitaki in two. The Genin girl disappeared in a puff of smoke, but Zabuza ignored it, and before Naruto hit the water again, his clone was back beside Sakura and had knocked her to the ground, along with Tazuna. Don't get back up, girl, and you may live through this. Zabuza. Naruto's yell echoed across most of the island, and both copies of Zabuza turned to look at him. Naruto was obviously furious. He was standing on the water's surface, some 40 yards away from the real Zabuza, but for a ninja that distance wasn't far. His hands formed a seal, and a moment later, he spoke, simply for the effect. Tajuu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Zabuza felt a chill up his spine, and a moment later, Easily 1,000 clones filled the area between him and Naruto. What is this kid? Naruto scowled, and the two clones nearest to him shifted into the forms of Yuryu and Kataki. He didn't waste time with words, and every last one of his shadow clones ran towards Zabuza. The demon of the mist was forced to pull back his clone, which leapt between him and the onrushing horde, easily destroying the first wave with a single massive swipe of his sword. The next wave got close, but Zabuza moved so fast that the single blow it took to destroy them was still faster than they could fill in the gaps. Naruto, give me more of my power. I will destroy this man. Do it. The next thing anyone knew, the clones were gone, except the ones containing Yuryu and Kataki. All three of them began to change. The ears, whiskers, and tail that were normal for Kataki's undisguised form appeared on all three, and a moment later they changed further, as a second tail appeared beside the first. Zabuza, you won't touch Tazuna-san, because I am going to kill you here. Naruto and Kataki moved quickly towards Zabuza and were intercepted by his clone. No, you don't, kid. The clone caught both of their first blows on the flat of his sword. At your best, you still can't even beat my clone at its worst. We don't need to. Yuryu spoke, and Zabuza looked at him for the first time, seeing the spirit bow he held for the first time as he drew back his hand and aimed at the clone, forming the largest arrow Naruto had ever seen his make. Who's this kid? Zabuza scowled. His clone moved to take Yuryu down, but found Naruto and Kataki blocking his path. Naruto aimed high and Kataki aimed low, and Kataki's strike made purchase in the clone's stomach. As it fell apart, Yuryu leapt upward, switching targets in the air and firing the Ryatsu arrow straight at Zabuza's chest. In an instant, the arrow struck the water where Zabuza had been an instant before. Zabuza himself had thrown himself backward and landed on the shoreline. You damn brats. Yuryu disappeared in a puff of smoke before he landed, and Naruto and Kataki's tails and ears slowly faded. Zabuza laughed. Looks like you're finished. Good, you're done for. Suddenly, Zabuza wasn't laughing anymore, as Kakashi's foot connected with his cheek. After that, the fight didn't last long. Zabuza was battered and beaten by the time Kakashi knocked him into a tree with a water explosion technique. How, can you see the future? Kakashi glared at Zabuza and drew a kunai. Yeah, you're going to die.